Okay, we're going to be looking at one of these problems, and I was hoping that everybody would have agreed on it, but I had some students say they thought the answer was C, I had some say it was B, so I'm going to go ahead and break the tie. I'm also going to be breaking the tie so I can have this recorded so that those kids who had to leave early or those who weren't here because of the field trip today, they can watch this video and kind of get on back up to speed. Now, let's look at our situation here. It says, Dawn ate some chocolate chip cookies, then she ate 7 peanut butter cookies. She ate a total of 15 cookies. How many chocolate chip cookies did Dawn eat? Explain your thinking. Now, I want to mention that our main directions are not necessarily to actually figure out how many chocolate chip cookies she ate. It's actually to figure out which of these equations, A, B, or C, matches up with our story problem. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read it again, try to make sense of the situation, and I'm going to come up with a plan to solve it step by step. Now, my plan that I'm going to be using is the same one that I would use for any of these type of story problems, and that's called the cube method. Now, some people might be familiar with hearing it as the cubes method, but I've kind of combined evaluate and solve into one step. Now, with the C, I'm going to go through here and circle all the key numbers that's going to be used to help solve this situation, help come up with my equation. And it says that she ate some. Now, some chocolate chip cookies, we don't know how many, we just know some. So I'm going to come up with a variable, and since all my choices used R as a variable, I'm going to refer to some as R. And my pens won't act up on me again. So I'll just say R, that variable. It says then she ate 7 peanut butter cookies, and she ate a total of 15 cookies. So I went ahead and I circled, all my pen's really going to mess up on me today. So I went ahead and circled that number. I'm going to circle this number because it's also very important. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to underline what it is I'm supposed to do. Now, if I were actually going to figure out how many cookies she ate, then I would figure out how many chocolate chip cookies she ate and explain my thinking. But like I said, our primary objective here is to try to figure out which equation goes with our story problem. Now, I'm going to go ahead and box all of our math action words. And in this situation, it talks about how we have a total, and it wants to know how many. When I hear total and I hear how many, I'm thinking addition. So what I'm going to come up with for my equation here, and I'm going to change the color of my ink to blue, I'm thinking R plus 7 for the peanut butter cookies is going to equal the total number of cookies she ate, 15. So this is the equation that I wrote based on the information in the story. Now this equation, if I were to come up with an inverse operation, for instance, if I were to subtract 7 on this side, 7 on this side, I would find out that she ate 8 chocolate chip cookies, but all I'm having to do, responsible for, is coming up with my equation. Now my choices are A, 7 equals R plus 15, and I have R equals 15, subtract 7, and then I have 15 equals R plus 7. Now, I have to figure out which of these choices is equivalent to the equation I came up with. And when I look at that, boys and girls, which one of those equations is equivalent with the one I developed? C. We have 15 equals R plus 7. Now, because of the commutative property or commutative property of addition, we can rearrange those add-ins any way we want. We can even say 15 equals R plus 7. And that's exactly what they have here, C. Now, how many of my groups said C was the correct answer? Okay, out of our 5 groups, 4 groups are raising their hands. Now let's go back to my group that said something else. What did you all say?
B.
You all said B. R equals 15, subtract 7. Okay. In the real world, I'll give you this. In the real world, if you wanted to find out how many chocolate chip cookies she ate, you would say 15 subtract 7, and it would equal 8. But you got to realize, we're not actually trying to figure out how many cookies she ate. We're looking at the story problem itself. We're looking at the information provided and coming up with an algebraic equation. Now, based on this story though, I would eventually use a little bit of inverse operations, and I would subtract 7 here to isolate the R, and I would subtract 7 from 15, and we'll get the answer. But see, this is like one step, that's like one step after we come up with our equation. Alright, if I were a random reporter based on our SFA PTM rubric, what score would I deserve, children?
100.
Yeah, I gave a good math practice. I made sense of my problem. I came up with a plan and worked it out step by step. I used the cube method on it. And then I showed you my process and I had my right answer. Now, group that messed up here. When you get ready to look at number 5, I want you to really focus on not so much how am I going to figure out how many ounces of flour she used for the biscuits. Figure out, based on the language in your story problem, what exactly do you need to write down to come up with an equation that matches it. Alright, I hope that this video has helped you and served as a good model.